Okay, we're going to do an anti-sub tactics for Captain Kevlar in the Kremlin. I have watched this, I actually just recorded it, but it felt like I rambled a lot, so we're going to get the abbreviated version. So we're going to hear a lot of, you know, shoot my target, rah, 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 that whole bunch of spam while we get this ready. But it's going to head over to C. Just going to zoom on in here. And right about here. Cool. Pretty soon his sub is going to engage a sub. He's going to see this and throw depth charges at it, which will be super nice. There's the sub spotted. Bop, bop. Cool. So went ahead and threw the thing. Nice. But unfortunately, his sub died to the other sub. So now there's a sub out there. It's got a Petropavlos that's on there. There's a Schlieffen around somewhere, and the Kleber really is just kind of bugging out. So he's going to start working on the Petro, and does not want to show super flat broadside to a Petro, because Petro gun is not something to be ignored. But he's going to start turning out. And there's a few things that's worth paying attention to here. As far as the enemy, there's a Kleber, a Balau, and a U-boat. Here's the Kleber. Here's the Balau. Here's the U-boat. Who's capping? It's the sub. So where's the sub? Sub is on the surface. Last spotted in this area, which let me go ahead and do this. That means that the sub's going to be right over here. And pretty soon, right now, his guns are trained on the Kleber, and then they're just going to be staring at the Petro for a long time. But we're going to see pretty soon. It's coming. There we go. So there's the first ping. And we're going to have a second ping, I think, yeah, which is right back there too. So, first off, depth charge planes might not have gotten a reset here. Usually about 8 seconds difference between pings. So, if we were like taking shots at the Petro, but eyes on the prize, waiting for the ping to come in because we knew there was a sub there. This isn't really a good line on a Montana because there's an island in the way. Odds are pretty good. You're going to get some torps thrown at you. If you took some shots at the Petro, you have 27 seconds between volleys. 27 seconds between volleys where you can pop on the 4 key and kind of like keep your eye on where the sub is as you're maneuvering, doing whatever you're doing. And as soon as you see that ping, you trace it back, drop on it. You don't have to think about it, just drop on it. Because if you got depth charges here, that's actually going to get a reset. And very possibly, even those basic hits, ASW planes, it's guaranteed to set a flood, which means that the sub is either throwing away a fair amount of health or using a damage con. You already got a damage con, so that was your second damage con right here. Is if you missed the first one, you got pinged, which means after you took a shot or whatever, you need to go right to this and be looking to see that ping right there, drop your depth charges, and take the second damage con off the sub. So here you damage con because you see some torps coming in. They've already got a good line, and so you're not going to evade those. They're not going to flood, but these are too close to track, so that doesn't matter. And here we see the sub again. If we already threw depth charges at him, we might have gotten a reset, but right here, this is 2 pings. You know the sub is there. You just got pinged. You're juking torps. You might even be watching the torps and see the ping coming in. That's damage con number 3. Now, sub has 3 or 4 damage cons. I'm pretty sure Superintendent is a commander talent. That's damage con number 3. You might miss, but you definitely miss shots you don't take. But at this point, really, most of your attention is staring at the Petro. You are looking to deal damage to the Petro, and it's going to stay that way for a pretty long period of time. Because, I mean, you got bigger guns than the Petro, and you're getting good hits, which is great. But this is about to go down in 11 seconds, which means pings are going to be coming out again. Once again, we've got 26 seconds between shells. So you're going to take a shot, be ready for the ping. Okay, shells are almost back up. Be ready for the shot, take it. Be ready for the ping. Because you have 2 threats right now. You have a sub and you have a Petro. And just staring at the Petro, waiting to take the shot, that's ignoring the sub. So you're about to get pinged. Right there. Sub is right here. And I think some torps get juked because your interaction point off of this ping was off in this area. So the torps were like heading out in that direction. And you're going to get pinged, but they're pretty much, they're gone. So you have no threat off of this. But first ping comes in. You just got pinged. I know I was pinged. You need to be looking here. Pop your depth charge planes, get the eye in the sky, get the look down, and he's back here. That's where he is. So, where is that exactly? That is here, which is within your depth charge range. You have this drop. So, before, first damage con was when he killed your sub. Second damage con was when you were on the border. Third damage con is when he took a few shots after he had capped. Fourth damage con. If he doesn't have a fourth damage con, permaflood. Now, if he's on the surface, he can repair the oil slicks, but it's a permaflood. So not only did you do damage here, not only did you do damage here, but you also did damage and there's a permaflood, or that's his last damage con. Dead ahead. Now, worth noting that the second ping, the homing gets more aggressive. At least it sure looks like it does on this. Initially, there was a time where battleships, if it was a single ping, that homing cutoff was pretty far distance, like 2 kilometers. And if you got the second ping, it would dial in about half that. So if it was 2 kilometers, it'd be 1 kilometer. But battleships didn't have a closer. This looks like they have a closer now. So definitely want to pay attention with the double ping. But you don't see any torps coming in. And ultimately, they went wide and frankly are holy hella turning. So, not gonna lie, that's pretty amazing. But what happened? We just saw more pings. That's another damage con. Take your shot, go onto depth charges, watch the area where the sub was pinging you, localize it back, drop it. This right now is the equivalent of if you see there's a DD and there's a smoke cloud, and he's just shooting you from the smoke cloud. You're in a Kremlin, he's not going to do a lot of damage to you. It's going to build up over time. The difference is with the sub, it builds up in volleys rather than like slow little, I put you on fire, hit your superstructure a bunch. Torps are going to come, they're going to hit, they're going to hurt. So right now, you have effectively, you know, there's a smoke screen here, there's a DD in it, you can blind fire him, and you literally have a weapon that can't do anything else other than blind fire the sub. So right now, that was potentially a flood that does not go away. So you've Kuznetsov, you've got a heal, gonna get a fair amount of health back on this, and because the Petro is down, Montana actually clocked him. Oh. And there we go. So once again, Montana's down. Once the Montana goes down, you know there's a sub. You could actually swap to HE here. It might not have been ready yet, but be in the airstrike. The airstrike gives you that downward view. You're gonna see where the ping originates from, and you can go right on to it, right on to trying to make it happen. You might not have gotten any damage there. I think that's a little too close. Yeah, he's still back there. Okay, so we're gonna talk about this real quick. Sub has the option of reversing, but as you get closer to an island, the ocean floor rises up, so reversing is gonna be a little tough here. And if he reverses, he's eventually gonna get so close that he might not be able to attack you. You can shotgun at a distance, I don't know what that is, 2 to 3 kilometers, something like that. So it's possible that you just going full in YOLO would be able to close the distance before he could shotgun you. So either he's going to reverse to try to go out this way, reverse to go into the cap and look for some kind of play there, or go to max depth and push through. And then after he does push through, he's going to have to turn around because the German subs don't have torps on the rear. So he's going to actually have to make a long turn. And what he's going to end up doing is now that, you know, you've missed your depth charges, he's just going to go in and go for the long turn. But, we're going to go over this. We're going to say it again. Sub v sub interaction, you got depth charge hits. That's a damage con. Next damage con while he was capping. Next damage con after he capped and before you got behind an island. Fourth damage con, if there was a fourth damage con, when he threw torps at you that missed. Guaranteed flood, because he definitely wouldn't have a damage con. When you took a pretty nasty salvo, you took 6. That was a pretty big chunk. And then you actually got a shot off too. So not only when you got that shot off and you forced him under the water because you were literally so close that he was detected, you just have an oil slick constantly. Boop, boop, boop. You know, drop depth charges here. It's just kill the sub. Not saying it's easy, because it's not, but there were a lot of opportunities there for you to have interactions with the sub. And then one last thing here is, so the sub could go this way, the sub could go that way, or the sub could go forward and turn around. It has to turn around to be able to shoot you. So if the sub is probably going to be back here, it's going to go forward and turn, then going out into the middle here, you don't know where the Schlieffen is. So if the Schlieffen happens to be blocked by an island or something, you're pretty low health. You might get caught and have to fight a Schlieffen. It's possible. Or you could cut and use the island for cover. You don't see a Schlieffen. Maybe the Schlieffen doesn't see you. It'd really suck if he's down there and you show broadside to him, but you know you have a very active threat that's coming after you in the sub behind you. So you can cut in and use this island to force the sub to get close. Or to at least try to have an interaction or something. But instead, when you go full into the middle of everything, you're going to be stuck in a really rough position. And the reason why is because when you get pinged by the sub, that ping is going to have an interaction point. So the interaction point is probably going to be about here, because you're going full speed, right? So if the interaction point is here and the sub torps stop homing relative to the interaction point, they're going to stop homing here, which means it's very likely that they dial in on you. And sure enough, they dial in on you. So in this case, using the island for cover to block the torpedoes, block line of sight on the ping, stuff like that. You also could have slowed down if you wanted to. You could have gone into the cap and almost just stopped. Stopping might be a little rough, but if you're ever in a position where you could, for instance, reverse toward the sub, especially if you could kind of get an angle going, you might be able to, like, if you're reversing in this direction, put the interaction point back there, have the fish go after that, and you can slow down and cut forward so that they would juke and pass. But the sub did a good job. He landed a lot of double pings on you. He made good use of his times and torpedo windows. Probably landed half of the torps that he threw at you-ish, maybe. So, I mean, definitely, you were against a player that was making plays. But you had an opportunity here, 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 and here. And definitely by this point, that's an uncurable oil slick, which just means you beat the crap out of him and he dies. So, you had the option. Now, one last word. This game is hard. You are not expected to win every encounter you come into. You're not expected to be able to 2v1 a Petro and a sub. Why? Because you are one player. Yes, a Kremlin is a lot to bring down, but you are one player. And this game is tuned so that every player has the ability to be impactful. So 2 against 1 sucks. There was an opportunity here, you know, if you were really just like dialing it to 11 and going at maximum force, you know, maybe you could have been able to carry this 2v1 and been able to take this cap as well. But don't beat yourself up for it, because for the most part, you dueled 1v1, you got 1.4 million potential, 80,000 damage, you held a lot of presence, you kept this lockdown, and it looks like your team is probably set up to be able to win, unless the U-boat styles over the Montana and etc. So, yeah. Hopefully this was useful. Have a good one.